Bienvenue, les aventures de Frank et Ben. 6e série, Frank and Ben go on a picnic with Ruth and Sally. 14e histoire, Frank and Ben go on a picnic, part 14. Following Frank's huge dog to the water, they both noticed that the few ducks on this part of the beach, as opposed to the vast number on the part further off, don't seem to be afraid of him. What few people there are don't pay much attention to him either. "This has to be the strangest beach I've ever seen," exclaims Ruth. After strolling with her to the water's edge, Frank asks, "Can you swim well?" "I can probably outswim you." A few minutes later, after they have changed into their bathing suits, they dive into the water for a race across the river. Bowser follows them in zigzag fashion. Frank arrives at the other side a little before Ruth. Bowser comes in third, but with the distinction of having swum nearly twice the distance that either Frank or Ruth has. Unknown to Ruth and Frank, a very serious conversation is going on not far from where they are. It involves two people who are sitting in lawn chairs high up on the beach. One is interviewing the other, and he has a voice recorder in his hand. The person who is being interviewed is a well-known author. She is a middle-aged woman who has got animals as characters in her stories. Interviewer: "Do you think you could use a place like this for a story?" Author: "Definitely. It's wonderful. I'm glad you brought me here." Interviewer: "It's unusual to have a beach so full of ducks, isn't it?" Author: "I'm overwhelmed. I believe this will inspire another story from me." Interviewer: "Which would make your 22nd book, wouldn't it?" Author: "That's correct. I've written 21 books, all of them dealing with animals as a higher and more intelligent form of life than human beings." Interviewer: "Yes, this is truly the mark of distinction of your books. The dog, for example, that is more loyal than his master." Author: "Or the farm horse that works harder than the farmer." Interviewer: "Or the whale that is more of a navigator than the great sea captain." Author: "Or the lemmings who are more self-sacrificing than the mass of humanity." Interviewer: "Yes, you have written so many books of this nature." Author: "All of them bestsellers, and all of them endorsed by many wildlife and environmental associations." Interviewer: "A truly amazing feat, not only from a literary but an ethical point of view. But tell me, do you really believe that these ducks, for example, should rule the world rather than human beings?" Author: "Take note of that dog out there swimming with those two young people. Does he not grace the day simply by the way he acts and looks?" Interviewer: "Yes, but..." Author: "Does he not express his high spirits, his friendliness, his intelligence, his courage, or anything else you care to name, simply by his physical presence and not with any use of words. Interviewer: I see your point, but it still falls short of organizing a society. Author: have you ever looked into an anthill? Have you ever studied the complex relationships that exist between members of an elephant herd? Interviewer: but to dominate the whole world, that requires... But why have this domination? That's the point of each and every one of my books. A fly lands on her face and she brutally slaps at it. We must live in harmony with the animals. Interviewer: do you mean all animals, even insects? Author: they were here before us, weren't they? They have first claim. Her attention then returns to Frank, Ruth, and Bowser, who, after having made a return swim across the river, now wade to shore. A beautiful animal, a bit overweight, but nonetheless beautiful.